NHL schedule for Tuesday, June the 18th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs at 8 p.m., Florida Panthers take on the Edmonton Oilers. Panthers on Sirius 161, XM 219, and Internet 932. Oilers on Sirius and XM channels 167, Internet 931. National feed on Sirius XM and Internet channels 91. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM NHL schedule for Tuesday, June the 18th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs at 8 p.m., Florida Panthers take on the Edmonton Oilers. Panthers on Sirius 161, XM 219, and Internet 932. Oilers on Sirius and XM channels 167, Internet 931. National feed on Sirius XM and Internet channels 91. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM NHL schedule for Tuesday, June the 18th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates.
SiriusXM has soccer covered end to end. SiriusXM FC. Hear live play-by-play and talk shows hosted by legends of the game. It's SiriusXM FC on Channel 157.
Former Colorado Avalanche chairman and CEO Charlie Lyons was on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio Channel 91 with Steve Kouleas to discuss what it was like successfully keeping Joe Sakic in Colorado in 1997 during a chaotic 7-day time frame.
That all this, Charlie, comes together in 7 days. Like, there's, this isn't one moving part. Like, if we get the Fox deal done, it's done. If the movie does really well, we'll borrow from the future, even though that wasn't the best thing, as you alluded to, from the movie company. Or the mayor says, yeah, we're going to do that. Like, they could have said, it's August. We'll talk after Labor Day. So what's incredible, right? That you got it done that quickly, which is almost, it's hard to do one deal in 5 business days, let alone the 7 you dealt with.
You know, in the movie business, I make this point in the documentary. One of the things that keeps an audience engaged is if the clock is ticking. You know, find the person that's been kidnapped, disable the bomb, stop the terrorists, get to the stage on time so you can get up and do your stand-up comedy when the audience is waiting. The ticking clock makes people realize we don't have time to screw around. We got to fix this and do it right now. So that was, in many ways, as miserable it was for, and particularly with my team, because I had a great team, you know, but they did the heavy lifting because, in essence, we had to do everything on handshakes. You're not going to get everything documented, but you're talking about the most honorable parties on earth, the mayor, Fox, Liberty Media. When they shake your hand, it's gold. And so we got it all done, and here we are.
What was it like this is 1997, so no e-transfers. What was it like to tell the Rangers, to quote a song, to take this and shove it? Who made the call and said, by the way, here's the check for Joe Sakic, bye-bye, NYC?
Well, Pierre went to Joe's house and delivered the money. I got up with Liberty and Fox and the mayor and at City Hall, and we announced the arena deal, Fox and Liberty. And we were coordinated. It was choreographed. And then I was a speechwriter when I was a kid. And I had the blessing to do some work for the governor of New York when he was vice president, Nelson Rockefeller. And he had that famous picture where he was being heckled, and he offered his opinion of that. And that picture of him flipping the bird was, I figured, a nice gift to send Dave Checkins, who's a good friend of mine, by the way.
I love it. I never knew hear that. I love it.
Follow every second of the action on NHL Network Radio. From behind the bench to every play on the ice. If it's hockey, it's on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. SiriusXM 91.
I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your SiriusXM NHL schedule for Tuesday, June the 18th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs at 8 p.m., Florida Panthers take on the Edmonton Oilers. Panthers on Sirius 161, XM 219, and Internet 932. Oilers on Sirius and XM channels 167, Internet 931. National feed on Sirius XM and Internet channels 91. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your SiriusXM NHL schedule for Tuesday, June the 18th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs at 8 p.m., Florida Panthers take on the Edmonton Oilers. Panthers on Sirius 161, XM 219, and Internet 932. Oilers on Sirius and XM channels 167, Internet 931. National feed on Sirius XM and Internet channels 91. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your SiriusXM NHL schedule for Tuesday, June the 18th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs at 8 p.m., Florida Panthers take on the Edmonton Oilers. Panthers on Sirius 161, XM 219, and Internet 932. Oilers on Sirius and XM channels 167, Internet 931. National feed on Sirius XM and Internet channels 91. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your SiriusXM NHL schedule for Tuesday, June the 18th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs at 8 p.m., Florida Panthers take on the Edmonton Oilers. Panthers on Sirius 161, XM 219, and Internet 932. Oilers on Sirius and XM channels 167, Internet 931. National feed on Sirius XM and Internet channels 91. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your SiriusXM NHL schedule for Tuesday, June the 18th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates.
SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio is the place for expert advice, strategy, and information from the best fantasy sports analysis to win your league. Plus, hear pick-by-pick coverage of live drafts and interviews with top players, coaches, and team executives on SiriusXM 87.
Toronto Maple Leafs winger Ryan Reeves joined Dave McCarthy for Sunday Brunch on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, Channel 91, to discuss the Florida Panthers and what Craig Berube brings to Toronto as their new head coach.
You know, they play hard and they play with really good structure. What I'm seeing from the games that I've watched is, Edmonton, obviously they like to come through the neutral zone with a lot of speed. They make the east-west pass and kind of get through the middle. Florida's just clogging up that middle, and it's really frustrating Edmonton. Obviously, besides yesterday, they've had a hard time getting into offensive zone clean, and they just seem to really be. Every time McDavid touches the puck, there's somebody right on him right away, and he's not able to get that speed that he's used to having in that room that he's used to having. So, it's been interesting to see their structure really frustrate them.
Yeah, and it's not just against Edmonton as well. It was David Pastrnak, it was Nikita Kucherov, Art Panarin, Mika Zibanejad. All of those guys, 0 goals at 5-on-5 in the playoffs against the Panthers. I mean, it's no accident that they are where they are. What do you make of the news that Craig Berube, the new head coach of the Maple Leafs, and what do you think he will be able to bring to the group?
I got to sit with him briefly after the season once he was hired. I think he's just going to bring a new attitude, just a little new swagger that obviously the team has been missing. I'm excited to play for him. He obviously was really liked in St. Louis. I never got to play for him there. I missed him by a year and a half, but I talked to guys about him, and everybody, kind of says the same thing. They go through a wall for the guy, and I think that's an important aspect for a team and a coach. I think it's going to be a fun year with him.
Does it make a difference when a coach with a Stanley Cup on his resume walks into the room and just carries that level of cachet?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just like when you bring in a player who has Stanley Cups. I think you understand that they know what it takes to win, and with him having a cup, his first year in St. Louis, I think everybody kind of understands that he was a big part of turning that team around, and he knows what he's talking about. So, I think that that resume is gonna help for sure.
And lastly, before I let you go, I think it's fair to say you are the reigning heavyweight in the league right now. Craig, I think, was the reigning heavyweight, if not right up there during his day. 5th most tilts all time in the National League at 257. Have you ever jumped on YouTube and studied what Craig got up to back in the day?
I've seen a couple for sure. He swings a little more freely than I do. I like a little more. I like to be a little more technical, but the game was a little different back then. There was a lot of more guys that just kind of chucked and didn't worry about what was coming back at him. So I'm not going to say I'm adopting his style, but he was a bad man back in the day.
That was Maple Leafs winger Ryan Reeves on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio Channel 91 with Dave McCarthy for the Sunday Brunch.
Get the latest news, opinion, and analysis from MMA to boxing and the professional wrestling world 24/7. SiriusXM Fight Nation, SiriusXM 156, and the SXM app.
I'm Frank.
Back into the middle, shed to the drive, drops into the point. May pull in. Crosby, well saved by
Now, SiriusXM presents
the Kings line down the side, shoots, he scores! He scores! Shoots, he scores!
NHL play-by-play hockey.
In the first game, 3 games of the series to build up a 3-0 lead. The Oilers' power play 2nd overall in the NHL playoffs, and obviously number 1 on the penalty kill at 93.6. The Panthers got a good penalty kill. They're 2nd at 89.2. It'll be Sasha Barkov up front with Evan Rodriguez and Griffin Reinhart. Sam Bennett with Carter Verhaeghe and Matthew Tkachuk. Anton Lundell with Eetu Luostarinen and Vladimir Tarasenko. Ryan Longberg, the 3rd former Calgary Flame, to draw into the series with Stenlund and Oposo. Obviously, Tkachuk, 6th overall pick of the Flames by Brad Treliving back in 2016. Bennett, a 4th overall pick by the Flames back in 2014. And Longberg, a hard-nosed player, not afraid to mix it up. Forsling and Ekblad, the top pairing. Ekblad, the last game was -4. Gustav Forsling is +13 in the playoffs. Mikkola and Montour, Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Dmitry Kulikov. Sergei Bobrovsky in the series is 3-1, a 2.64 goals against average, a .912 save percentage. Stuart Skinner is 1-3, a 2.58 goals against average, and a .901 save percentage. So that is, again, the lines of the game presented by PlayAlberta.ca, an official gaming partner of your Edmonton Oilers. 19 minutes to face off, and this is Rogers Game Night on the Oilers Radio Network.
Chemco is building industry across Canada, and now they're on the lookout for civil and electrical project managers, estimators, and superintendents to join their dedicated team. Why Chemco? Because Chemco cares. They put people first, offering top-tier compensation packages and an unwavering commitment to safety. At Chemco, safety isn't just a priority, it's everybody's business. Ready to be part of a team that truly values you? Visit chemco.com/careers today.
Hockey fans, with a spotless reputation, Scandinavian Building Services is responsible for keeping over 70 million square feet of space clean and safe every day. With over 65 years in the industry, no cleaning challenge is too big or too small. From national retailers and commercial spaces to small offices and entertainment centers like Rogers Place, let Scandinavian take the worry off your cleaning program. Visit Scandinavian.ca to learn more. Scandinavian Building Services. Our reputation is spotless.
This is Rogers Game Night on the Oilers Radio Network.
Over the course of the season, you have to learn how to go through adversity, and you have to go through adversity multiple times to kind of get that experience and be comfortable in it. And I think we obviously put ourselves in that spot early, being second to last. Not being in a playoff spot at Thanksgiving, US Thanksgiving, which is kind of the mark, which a lot of people talk about. And then obviously being down in the Vancouver series. So I think you got to be comfortable, learn how to be comfortable, and the only way you can learn is by going through it. And this team always, since I've been here, not just this year, has always had a tendency to play its best when our back's against the wall for whatever reason. And I think we've just had a lot of experience with it.
That is Zach Hyman of the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, the Oilers started the year 2-9-1. At 3-9-1, they fired Jay Woodcroft. Chris Knobloch came in. He proceeded to have the best points percentage of any coach in the National Hockey League. Under Knobloch, they went 2-3 in their first game, 5 games, and actually dropped to 5-12-1 at U.S. Thanksgiving. They were out of a playoff spot. And then they went and won 24 of their next 27 games. The Oilers have had 3-game winless streaks under Chris Knobloch. They've come out of Lowe's with an 8-game winning streak, a 16-game winning streak, and a 5-game winning streak. The Oilers, this is Oil Country 50-50 is live for Stanley Cup Final. The jackpot is currently sitting at $1.2 million and climbing fast. Buy your tickets now to be eligible for tonight's early bird prize at 7:30 p.m. for $5,000 cash for Safeway, and at 8 p.m. for $10,000 cash. Tonight's Oilers 50-50 is in support of the Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation, supporting Alberta's battling cancer, kids with critical illness, animal shelters, food security, military personnel, and much, much more. Let's go to Legacy Heating and Cooling. Who's hot and who's not? Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of no payments and no interest for a year. Well, Connor McDavid, 7 points in 4 games in this series. Nobody else has more than 4. 38 points overall in 22 playoff games, plus 9 overall. He's playing 23-31 per game. He has been fantastic. Now up to 113 career points in 71 playoff games as a member of the Edmonton Oilers. The out-of-town scoreboard is brought to you by Pizza 73, the official pizza of the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, we're in the Stanley Cup Final. There's only 2 teams alive. Florida leading the series 3-1 over the Edmonton Oilers. Here's where I tell you, the Calder Cup. Todd Nelson, former Oilers head coach, has Hershey tied 1-1 with Coachella Valley. And that's where the series has moved to. Scott Housen, the former Oilers executive, the commissioner of the American Hockey League. So the AHL final tied a game apiece. 13 minutes. This is Rogers Game Night on the Oilers Radio Network.
Proudly headquartered in Edmonton, Capital Power is powering change by changing power. Be part of the energy and join Capital Power in cheering on our Edmonton Oilers. From Ice District and across Oil Country as they chase another championship banner. Visit capitalpower.com to learn about how they're delivering reliable and affordable power for communities today and creating innovative solutions for a clean electricity future.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take 1 for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. Are you ready, guys?
We were born ready. Heck yes, Nuge. Drop the beat. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. We freaking killed it, Nuge. That's what I'm talking about, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Nice guys. We're going to sell a lot of air conditioners.
Hey, doesn't Legacy offer no payments and no interest for a year on those?
Yeah, well, thanks for the assist on the copy points there, Nuge.
It's just what I do.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You're listening to Rogers Game Night on the official voice of the Edmonton Oilers, 630 CHAN, and on the Oilers Radio Network.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're expecting a big push from them. Obviously, I'm pretty sure they're not thrilled about their last game, and we're expecting a completely different team, I guess, than the last game. So we know their energy is going to be high. They're going to be going for it. So the last thing they want to do is come back to Edmonton, and that's where we plan on bringing them.
Well, we do expect the Florida Panthers to be ready right from the get-go. That is the Edmonton Oilers forward, Dylan Holloway. And this is Rogers Game Night, courtesy of Rogers, Canada's largest and most reliable 5G network. Back at the 630 CHAN Studios in Edmonton, we bring aboard Rob Brown. All right, Rob, all season long, the Edmonton Oilers have shown the propensity to have the ability to deal with pressure and adversity. And there's going to be more of it tonight. And I expect to see a lot of pressure on the forecheck from Florida out of the gate.
Oh, there will be. The Florida Panthers were embarrassed in Edmonton a couple nights ago. And they know what's on the line. They certainly don't want to get on a plane and go back and play Game 6 and all momentum switching to the Edmonton Oilers. So the Oilers will see the biggest push and the best push that Florida has. I do believe the Oilers are capable of withstanding that. To do that, they've got to play smart hockey. They got to good puck management, but most of all, they need some big saves. In the first period of an 8-1 drubbing, you don't think the goaltender would have that big an impact. Stuart Skinner did in the first period of Game 4. A couple big saves, none bigger than the 2-on-1 save that kept the game at 2-1. So there will be a push by the Florida Panthers. I believe the Oilers can match that push, but the Oilers are certainly going to need some big saves from Stuart Skinner.
Well, there's no question the Oilers showed speed off of the transition and rush against Florida the other night. Stuart Skinner, he's shown the ability as the series have gone on to be really good. A .944 save percentage. Games 4 through 7 in the playoffs, he's 8-0. Is this just a byproduct of a goalie getting more comfortable in between the pipes and getting a read on some of the guys that he's shooting? What do you think it is? Or is he just bearing down more?
Well, I don't know if it's bearing down more. I would expect that any professional athlete is going to be bearing down right from the get-go. I think it's a few things. I think as the series moves on, you get a little more familiar with the players that are coming against you, what their tendencies are. You probably... sometimes you're surprised. I know that when teams play Edmonton, they're probably a little surprised by the speed of Connor or the strength of Leon. And as the series goes on, they start to, okay, now I see how fast he is. So I think with Skinner, it's the same thing. I do believe that the Oilers get better in front of him. So I think that's a key, too. The Oilers don't give up as many grade A scoring chances against. But Dylan Holloway, I've always liked the mental makeup of him. We've seen so many times where the first shot has gone in and then the opposition will score another one, and it's the Oilers now down 5 or 6 minutes into a game, and then Skinner shuts the door. He realized, okay, now I've got to make sure I got to play perfect hockey from here on out, and he's done that. So I think that whatever happens the remainder of this series, I do believe that Stuart Skinner has proved himself as someone capable of taking his team to a Stanley Cup championship. And going forward, as you said earlier, this is not a team, a one-and-done team. This is a team that's built for a few more years. Hopefully this is the start of it, and hopefully this night is the start of 2 more games coming up afterwards.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I just look at Skinner's 25. You know, Bouchard and McLeod are 24, and McLeod scored in the last couple games here. He's been better in the Stanley Cup final. And then we got a pair of 22-year-olds, Broberg and Holloway. And I don't think there's any way to underscore what Philip Broberg has done in the 7 playoff games that he played. He came in Game 4 against Dallas, and he got into the series right from the get-go against Florida, and he's moved up into a second pairing on the right side. I mean, the Oilers have got some good young players to support some of the best players in the world here, but they also are 3 games. You said it with Reed Wilkins. They might not get closer. Like, we sit there and go, we know they're going to be there. I think the team, Rob, realistically is probably going to play 6 playoff series in the next 2 years. That's how good I think the team's going to be. But on that note, you're in the Stanley Cup final. You're just 3 games away from winning it yourself.
Well, if you look at it for going forward, if the Oilers don't win the Stanley Cup this year, they've got an entire summer of working out and 3 weeks of training camp, 8 exhibition games, 82 regular season games just to get to the playoffs. And then you have to win 12 more games against 3 good teams just to get to the point they're at right now. They may never get closer than they are right now. That's how close they are. This is 3 games away. And again, at any time this season, if you would have said the Oilers on June 18th will be 3 wins away from winning a Stanley Cup, you know, we'd be throwing a party in September or October or December, whenever we would have been told that. So this is an opportunity. And I think also, and you went on about Broberg and Holloway, at the trade deadline, Ken Holland went out and made some moves. I do believe he felt that he had 2 aces in his pocket in the minors. That, okay, we'll get Stetcher, we need a veteran presence, but I got a Broberg down there that's playing well. Okay, we're going to get Henrique. I like what he does, and a Carrick, but I also have this kid Holloway that we feel can be a top 9, maybe even a top 6 guy. And I don't think the Oilers would have had as much success in these last number of games without a Broberg and a Holloway. They've been that important to the Oilers here in the last little while. So going forward, yes, the future is bright for some of these young stars for the Edmonton Oilers.
All right, well, from Florida's perspective, they had all their families, and everybody jetted up to Edmonton for game number 4 to see the possibility of winning a Stanley Cup, and they got beaten 8-1. You know, they're a good team. We know they're a good team. We know they're going to bounce back and be bringing it tonight.
They will be. And I think the 8-1 drubbing is probably better for Florida than a 2-1 game. A 2-1 game might mask some mistakes, and you're like, oh, it's okay. They got lucky there, so we don't really have to change much. When you lose 8-1, you're watching video. You've been awoken to what the Edmonton Oilers are capable of doing. So they're going to come out with a different effort. I believe there will be a lot more discipline with regards to penalties, but also discipline with regard to defensive structure, getting pucks in deep, taking away the neutral zone. They were exposed. And it's a Florida Panther team that didn't get exposed very often this season. So Florida's going to be better. I do believe the Edmonton Oilers will be better. I think it's going to be a whale of a hockey game. And
I agree.
Hopefully this is I think
series.
I agree, and hopefully this is the first of a 3-game series right now. And again, I just reiterate, the Oilers are 3 wins away from a Stanley Cup. Still have belief.
They are really working the crowd here to get them fired up. The Florida Panthers are about to take the ice. The officials have stepped on the ice. Let's go to Ford. Keys to the game. Brought to you by Ford, the official partner of the Edmonton Oilers. Built Ford proud. What do you got, Rob?
Well, when you play on the road in a building that's loud, you want to weather a storm. The Florida Panthers are going to come out in the first 5-7 minutes with everything they have. They have to do that. So if you're the Oilers, weather that. And the way to weather that is you get pucks, smart with it, good puck management, get pucks in deep, be physical when you have to be, but most of all, get a big save early in this hockey game. So to me, the biggest key of this game is going to be the first period play of Stuart Skinner.
There you go. That's our Inside the Game analyst, Rob Brown, and that wraps up Rogers Game Night. Jack Michaels will have the call of the game next. Game 5 Stanley Cup Final, another do or die for the Edmonton Oilers. They survived in style Saturday night back in Edmonton, a convincing 8-1 victory. Won't be that easy tonight, to say the least. We expect the Panthers' best. The Oilers are going to need to bring their best. Jack with the call up next. Game 5 Stanley Cup Final from Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise, Florida, on 40 Oilers NHL Hockey on the Oilers Radio Network.
Blue collar work deserves big dollar perks. Get a heavy wallet with Heavy Metal Equipment and Rentals. Heavy Metal Equipment and Rentals is hiring heavy equipment technicians, maintenance supervisors, PM servicemen, maintenance coordinators, and pretty much every other position that makes Alberta go. We help move the earth that makes Alberta grow. So why not work for a company that makes your bank account grow too? Visit heavymetalequipment.ca to find your new career. Heavy Metal Equipment and Rentals, helping you move the earth.
Discover the epitome of elegance at Alberta Diamond Exchange, dedicated to crafting unforgettable moments with exquisite jewelry collections for over 2 decades. From stunning engagement rings to timeless wedding bands and anniversary treasures, the Alberta Diamond Exchange commitment extends far beyond I do. Your journey with Alberta Diamond Exchange is not just about jewelry, it's about an unparalleled experience. Check out the Aspen Glen Landing Boutique in Southwest Calgary, and for more information, head to abdiamond.ca today.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they're the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
Honey, I overloaded the washing machine and there's a mini waterfall pouring through the basement roof.
We'll fix it. Don't worry, babe.
And I might have horribly shrunk your lucky jersey.
Oh!
Life happens. Access Insurance can help. The save of the game is brought to you by Access Insurance. When Albertans need it most, they know they can count on the Access Insurance team for a huge save. It's easy to switch and save. Check out their Google reviews.
Visit accessinsurancegroup.com.
With glowing hearts, we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please remain standing
for the presentation of our nation's colors by the United States Marine Corps Color Guard. Here to perform the Star-Spangled Banner, recording artist and singer-songwriter, whose debut album Big Mouth releases this fall, Brooke Alex.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wrecked the land, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right. Now, tonight's exclusive NHL broadcast.
There he shoots and scores. Now it's Draisaitl off to Connor McDavid. Centers Kane for the hat trick. He scores.
All the action called by the voices who know the game inside and out.
This crowd explodes.
Bob Stauffer and Jack Michaels on the Oilers Radio Network.
Drag them back to Alberta. That's what the Edmonton Oilers look to do in Game 5 as we've reached Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, owner of 18 professional majors, leading the drum roll. Let's go Panthers. Obviously a Floridian for several years, originally from Columbus, Ohio. The Panthers and the Oilers with Florida leading 3-1, and Edmonton starting Stuart Skinner in the pipes with Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard on the back end. And up front, Adam Henrique will start the game, flanked by Connor Brown and Matthias Janmark. This line has been so good, it's essentially become Edmonton's third line after starting the playoffs as the fourth line. We are live at Amerant Bank Arena alongside Bob Stauffer. I'm Jack Michaels with our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth in place. We're set for Edmonton, Florida, Game 5 of the final. And we are underway with Henrique winning the opening draw, and it's sent in deep immediately by Bouchard. Around the boards, Dmitry Kulikov unable to get it out, and then Luo Sterainen fell down. A centering pass and a one-timer stopped by Bobrovsky. What a gorgeous chance in the first 15 seconds as Matthias Janmark gliding down the slot. Connor Brown found him, and Janmark unable to bury it the way he did on the shorthanded goal in Game 4, Bob. But Florida continues to spring leaks.
Yeah, there was an opportunity there. I don't think Janmark got all that shot, Jack.
Off the draw, it's sent around the left-hand boards by Florida and cleared back to center. Panthers in the red with the blue pants and white numerals. They're moving right to left in this first period. Edmonton facing elimination for the fourth time in this Stanley Cup playoffs. They've obviously won the previous three behind Skinner's .938 save percentage in those games. Ekholm slides it up to Brown. Over the line, Janmark, and now Brown swooping in, dishing, and a quick shot by Leon Draisaitl from long range. And a save made by Sergei Bobrovsky. Draisaitl still tied for second in the league with 10 goals in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but he has not scored. That was a turnover, a quick chance, and Skinner has to make the save. So both Skinner and Bobrovsky having to make early first period saves within the first minute, and 2 point-blank looks, one for each side, and neither converted. Sam Reinhart given a gift, Bob, and he can't bury it.
Yeah, Philip Broberg went to reverse the puck back behind the goal, and there was a miscommunication with him and Nurse, and a quick one-touch and pass in front. Skinner bailed the Oilers out there, Jack.
Face off to Skinner's right-hand side, and a shot taken by Matthew Tkachuk, and a save made by Stuart Skinner. Leon Draisaitl shooting from distance, Bob. I don't mind that. He hasn't scored since Game 4 of the conference final against Dallas. And for Leon Draisaitl, as you know, an annual 40 to 50 goal man, and he had 41 this year. It's odd to have that kind of dry spell.
3 shifts into a game. We haven't seen McDavid yet for Edmonton.
Off the draw, Brett Kulak up the left-hand side. McDavid will be skating with Fogle and Hyman tonight, and this is an offside call whistled against the Edmonton Oilers. Off the draw, Steve Kazari and Dan O'Rourke, the referees, Johnny Murray and Matt McPherson, the linesmen. Curiously enough, the Oilers have not won a game in the 5 prior games that Dan O'Rourke has worked in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Sam Bennett lining up against Derek Ryan, and a face-off win for Ryan. He'll look to pursue in the corner. Tug free by Tkachuk inside. Bennett spun to the ice, and the Oilers quickly clear up the right wing boards. Perry might have put too much on this. Mikkola gets back to draw the icing call. Corey Perry playing on a line with Ryan and Ryan McLeod, who scored in back-to-back games. A minute 23 gone by.
So, Jack, now they get Big Barkov out against Derek Ryan. This is a very different matchup than the one against Bennett, because Barkov relies upon strength in the face-off circle, and he's owned Ryan head-to-head in this series.
Barkov wins the draw from Derek Ryan. Here's Gustav Forsling off to Evan Rodriguez. Shot deflected off a skate. Cody Ceci couldn't get there. Barkov centers. One-timer. What a save! Stuart Skinner flashing leather to rob Aaron Ekblad. And that looked like the 2 cross-seamers he handled so well in Edmonton on Saturday night, Bob. And Skinner, terrific save on Ekblad. And he's made 2 good ones here in the first 90 seconds.
2 fantastic stops, and that time a clean face-off loss, and then Cody Ceci got beat in the corner to a loose puck. McDavid finally on the ice, first shift, a minute 34 in, 4th shift for the Oilers of the game.
McDavid, Fogle, and Zach Hyman, and off the draw again, Florida able to control. Shovel down low, reaching for it is Barkov. Working hard, behind the net is Matthias Ekholm. He'll free it up the left-hand side for Fogle, not out. Ekblad will swing it down low. Panthers with some early pressure here after Edmonton's glorious chance in the first 15 seconds. Barkov's shot never made it to the net, cleared by the Oilers, and then tucked back in by Barkov, but handled by Ekholm. And the Oilers left to right will eventually break out as Florida collapses back to the neutral zone. Snapped in by Bouchard from center ice. His next point will give him 30 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Jumps up and blasts one that's deflected to the corner. Ekholm will send it around the boards, and reaching forward is Zach Hyman. Pulled free by Barkov up the left-hand side, and eventually clearing is Ryan Lomberg, who plays for the first time since being benched for Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Final against the New York Rangers. Like Edmonton, Florida trailed 2-1 in their conference final. Panthers are offside, moving over the line right to left, so Stenlund will back off and allows Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to handle the puck. Broberg to Draisaitl, centering pass picked off. Draisaitl playing with Nugent-Hopkins and Dylan Holloway again as Edmonton elects to use the same lineup that pasted Florida 8-1 on Saturday night. Finishing the check on Broberg was Stenlund, and now Luo Sturinen will send it off the boards. Across, open man, Ekman Larson took a shot, and that was deflected over top and handled by Kyle Opozo. Now Luo Sturinen. He's banged off the puck immediately by Darnell Nurse, who scored his first goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs in that laugher on Saturday. Tarasenko, the man with the only goal for Florida, will pick it up from the end line. Kulikov, Ekman Larson over to Tarasenko. Snap shot blocked by Nurse. And another good look for Florida from beneath the circles, Bob, but that time Nurse was in the shot lane.
They're on it early here, Jack.
Here's Lundell with a turnover. Draisaitl the steal. Turns for a moment. Luo Sturinen there to bother, and he just hands off to Bouchard for a reset as we come up on 4 minutes having elapsed in this first period. No score.
Quick change back to the McDavid line.
So Bouchard wings it up the right-hand side, and well covered was Hyman by Aaron Ekblad. Forced back into the Edmonton zone. Now Fogle from Bouchard has it taken off his stick. Sam Bennett to Carter Verhaeghe, and now Matthew Tkachuk, left corner. He's had a quiet Stanley Cup final. Pretty decent in the first 3 rounds, but he's been held in check by the Oilers. A drive by Forsling. Skinner a clean look on it. and he's able to smother it with 15:41 to go in the first period. The Panthers having taken 4 of the game's first 6 shots on net as Edmonton looks to become only the second team in the last 79 years to force a Game 6 after falling behind 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Final. Adam Henrique was on the last team and the only team to do it in the last 8 decades, and that was the New Jersey Devils back in 2012 when he was a rookie.
Well, the Oilers got 2 of the first 3 shots on goal, 3 in a row from the Panthers, and 2 of them were A-grade.
Stenlund wins a face-off. Snapshot Mikkola and a save made. Stuart Skinner. Rebound hacked out of there by Ceci. And this will roll dead before the goal line. And a play made by Connor Brown. A steal on Brandon Montour. Centers. And a quick shot was driven off the pads of Bobrovsky. Good low shot by Kulak. And then Lomberg sent it in off the stick of Oposo, who runs Kulak face first into the boards, takes the puck from him. Ekman Larsson spinning and shooting, redirected, and in the slot, we're going to have a penalty now called, and it's a high stick against Edmonton's Brett Kulak. At 4:47 of this first period, the Panthers will go on the power play. They're only 1 for 13 in the Stanley Cup Final.
Well, Ryan Lomberg went in, and he hit the Edmonton Oilers. Brett Kulak, after Kulak had deposited the puck out, and Kulak got the high stick up in response, and Florida goes to their first power play of the game.
Panthers decent power play during the regular season, but really struggling here in the Stanley Cup Final. They were led by Sam Reinhart's 27 power play goals during the regular season, but here Carter Verhaeghe can't hold the zone after Edmonton with another face-off win. The Oilers have killed 40 of their last 41 on the Napa Auto Parts penalty kill, and they start with Nugent Hopkins, Derek Ryan, Ekholm, and Ceci. Panthers turn it over at the Edmonton line, and here comes Nugent Hopkins with alacrity down the right-hand side. He centers, and that was tugged off a stick and picked up by the Panthers. Trying to clear and muscle it out was Montour. Following it up, Sam Reinhart. The dish to Carter Verhaeghe, left wing. He'll send it around the boards. That's going to be picked up by Matthew Tkachuk, and back to the point Montour. Thrown across, and what a pick-off by Connor Brown. He's got a short-handed breakaway. Brown, backhander, score! Connor Brown gives the Edmonton Oilers a 1-0 lead. 5.5 minutes into Game 5.
Well, the Edmonton Oilers signed Connor Brown to be a second-line winger. He had such for the Oilers here in the playoffs. The Oilers' third shorthanded goal, and Brown utilizing that speed and goes to Ledeek, and we saw how great that lateral movement is with Bobrovsky. Brown finishes it off. It's a shorty for the Oilers.
Off the draw, the Oilers will dump it in. Remember, they're still shorthanded. That's goals in back-to-back games, shorthanded for Edmonton, and both of them come early in the first period. Both the first goals of the game, Janmark and Brown. Here's Vladimir Tarasenko. If only someone could have forecast that coming into Game 5. Oilers battle, clear back to the point. Oliver Ekman-Larsson sends it across. Tarasenko wrist shot and a glove save made by Skinner. And then it was popped loose for a moment, and a big shot on Sam Bennett as the Oilers trying to clear the front of their net. 13:59 to go in the first, and it's 1-0 Edmonton. 46 seconds left in the penalty to Brett Kulak. But the story right now is Connor Brown with a shorthanded goal, putting Edmonton on top 1-0.
This has been a high-event game early here, Jack. This is an important draw for Adam Henrique.
Face-off right side of Skinner. Draw won by Adam Henrique. It's loose in the corner.